の歌消えない心の傷メシアを求め続けたあの日の夜 What's up, everyone? This is Anime Degens, episode 79. I got Nom here with me. And I also got Shad, special guest from the Southwest Hustle. Today, we're going to be doing Kubo's Bleach spinoff, Burn the Witch. Really fun little short anime, 4 episodes. So make sure y'all watch that before you listen to the review and stuff later. Um, Before we move on to the rest, best way to support us is rate the podcast. Tell your friends if you have anything interesting, let us know in Discord for us to talk about. Linktree.com/anime degens. And yeah, that's pretty much it. How you doing, Nom?
Tyler, I'm doing pretty good. How about you?
Hey, it's a great day out today. Not too hot. We're chilling. Um, just been watching anime most of the day. So, uh, but Shad, my man, how you doing?
What's up? It's hot here. We got up to like 107 today. So, I
Oh,
mean, yeah, I wish I could say it's, not too hot. But
oh,
yeah, thank y'all for having me on, man. It's
You
like
in
a
Texas, right?
yeah, in Texas,
Okay.
in Austin.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's been crazy hot here all week. I think like this week, next week, highs every day are like 100.
You can keep it, bro. You can keep it all you want.
I'm praying for you, my guy. I'm praying for you.
It's rough. It is rough. I mean, dog hates it. I got a German Shepherd, like huge dog.
Oh God.
Yeah, it's been rough on he loves being outside. We keep him inside, but he loves being outside and, normally if it's not too hot, we'll let him stay out there all day, but, like, man, this past week, ooh, it's been rough.
Well, hell yeah. Well, hopefully you don't melt. I know I would melt. uh, you wanna let the people know kind of a little bit about you and your podcast and where they can find you and
Yeah,
give them the good old elevator pitch. You know what I mean?
yeah, of course. So, I host the Side Quest Hustle podcast. You can find us on any social media, any streaming platform at the Side Quest Hustle. I mean, we talk about anime, manga, comics, TVs, movies, really anything anyone wants to geek out about. We meet with creators, small comic creators, up and comic creators, other anime weebs, I guess, and we talk about whatever you want to geek out about. And so you can catch us. Episodes drop Saturday, Sunday at noon. Um, but yeah, tune in at the Side Quest Hustle on everything.
Oh yeah, and I just want to mention that me and Nam actually was over at SideQuest Hustle. I think last week. My time like kind of blurs together. I'm not good at that shit. They'll correct me if I'm wrong. But anyways, we done a little review on Apothecary Diaries, which I'm really glad that I was able to be on there with him because Apothecary Diaries is one of my top 10 anime of all time. So it was such a good time to just bullshit about Apothecary Diaries and talk about how fun Mao Mao is. I got my little Mao Mao right here, so big fan of Mao Mao. But yeah, make sure y'all go check that out. The links will be in the description, like usual. Every time we have a guest, we always put the links in the description. So go check him out. Go check his content out on YouTube, Spotify, all that good stuff, and see what's up. So, before we get started, there's a couple of things that I want to ask you though. For everyone to get to kind of know you a little bit.
Yeah.
I know we've talked a little bit on threads and stuff, but the people don't see that. You know what I mean? So, um, one thing like the side quest hustle, right? So, that's a kind of unique name, right? So, like, how did you get that? Like, how did you come across like making that your name?
Yeah, so, I think I was telling you guys about it. I used to be really big into gaming, and so one of my favorite video games is Red Dead Redemption 2. If you've ever played
Hey.
yeah, the the side quest content in Red Dead Redemption 2, I mean, you could probably spend more time doing side quests than the main story. And so I always tended to be attracted to games and things like that, whether it was Assassin's Creed, Ghost of Tsushima, all these games that have these like epic and deep side quests. And so I was sitting down talking to some buddies one day, and we got on the topic of like side quest and anime, and we would just kind of went down a rabbit hole because like one of the big topics that I brought up was in One Piece, Marine Ford. Marine Ford was really just a big side quest. If you take a look at Marine Ford, if Luffy never went to Marine Ford, it would not have changed the story one bit. Whitebeard still would have showed up. There still would have been a war. Ace still would have died. Luffy still would have been devastated.
Yeah, I
And
think
so,
I think with him being there though, like he was able to go to Boa's Island, right? And with Rayleigh and train his hockey. I don't think that that would have happened necessarily as fast if he wasn't there. So,
yep. But if you take it out of the story, it doesn't change the story up much.
yeah, we just got to see, kind of what
Yeah.
happened roughly.
It's
So,
yeah, it's just one of those theories that I had where it's like, if you take a look at a lot of anime, TV shows, I mean, even some movies really, not really much with movies, but they have side quests in those. And so it in life, everybody has side quests. So like whether it's doing a podcast or, if you build computers, if you're a photographer, if it's outside of like your main job, people do side quests in life. And so that was kind of one of the things that got me started with the podcast. And so when I was trying to think of a name, it was like, why not? I mean, people, that's in gaming, that's a thing where, it's like that side quest hustle where, you're gonna grind on these side quests and be a completionist, you know, your game with just doing nothing but side quests. And so it's like, why not side quest hustle?
hell yeah. I'd always wondered that. So, I figured I'd ask because I'm sure a lot of people wonder that. And I'm
Yep.
not sure if you've ever covered it on your episodes before. You probably have, maybe, I don't know. But
Yep. Very first episode, I talk about it a little bit because like
yeah.
I want to get back into gaming. Now that my kids are getting older, I want to try to get back into gaming. And so that's some content that I'm hoping to put out down the line.
Okay. And while we're on the topic, about podcasts and making names and stuff, what's one of the what's the reason why you started the podcast? Is it just to bullshit and talk about the things that you like, or did you have like a purpose, or like what's up with that?
Yeah, really just to give myself an outlet to talk about things that I love. Like, I mean, anime, comics, movies, TV. I love it. I love it all. I love a good story. And spend a lot of my time consuming those medias, whether it's reading on lunch breaks or, watching anime, watching TV shows. And so I really wanted to give myself an outlet to talk about it with other people who have those same love, have the same interest. And so, well, I was able to meet you guys. I met some other pretty cool people who, just come on and talk about their passion. And so that was the main goal. It wasn't, to like become some type of influencer or, develop a fan base or anything like that. It was really just give myself a creative outlet to talk about things that I love.
Hell yeah, love to see it. We all love talking about we all me personally, I love yapping about anime, it goes beyond talking, it's yapping at that point.
Yeah, we do kind of ramble and start ranting at times, but
You should
you
have heard
can't
my
help
Mushiko
yourself.
Tensei rant.
Oh God, the flashbacks.
Yeah. So, speaking of like anime though, we don't know like a too much about you or whatever. And we know that you like your mechs and stuff like that. Like, do you have like a favorite like genre, category, demographic? You know, whatever you want to say. Do you have like a favorite? Is there any ties? Like, what do you prefer?
Um, I would say probably before I really dove into sort of the anime content creation community, it was definitely shonen. I majority of what I watched was shonen. There were a few outside of that style of anime, but uh, coming into creating a podcast and meeting different people and them giving me different recommendations, uh, I still I haven't picked up some of the slice of life, but more of the mystery dramas, more of the, I guess, lower paced action animes. Because I mean, Mushoku Tensei, it isn't straight action. There's a lot of story. There's a lot of slice of life, a lot of drama. I picked it up. I mean, we talked about Apothecary Diaries a couple of weeks ago on my podcast. I picked up, or I'm gonna be picking up, uh, Detective Conan. I've seen it off and on, but
Damn.
it's where yeah, yeah. But I mean, I know it's like a long running one, so I'm not quite sure where, I may do it like maybe a season at a time, but, man, I still gravitate towards the action. I love a good fight scene. I mean, I love a good story as well, but I love a good fight scene.
Oh yeah,
Uh,
and go ahead.
real quick. Speaking of fighting scenes, did you see Windbreaker from last season?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it was
Okay.
probably man, I go back and forth between that and Kaiju number 8, but I would probably say Windbreaker was my favorite, and probably because it was a surprise. I
Okay.
mean, of
Okay.
course, everybody was anticipating Kaiju number 8. Everybody assumed that, it would be the big hit, and I mean, it was, and it would dominate, but Windbreaker snuck in, and towards mid-season, I started seeing sort of it pick up a buzz from everybody else starting to pick it up and watch it, but I started from episode 1 whenever it first premiered because it had, like, a premise that I liked from when I watched the trailer. I like well choreographed, and so not necessarily so much on, like, powers and magic, those things are cool to add into a fight, but a well choreographed, just fist to fist fight.
Straight
If
street
you can
brawl. Yeah.
yeah, if you can do that and you can keep it entertaining, and I love it. I'll pick that over a magical fight any day.
Hell yeah. I know we've been talking a little bit about you like starting Mob Psycho pretty soon. I'm pretty excited about that. Like anytime someone says that they're gonna start Mob Psycho, like I get pretty excited because that is like a true like it covers everything, bro, and so perfectly. Like you got your like slice of life, you got your coming of age, you got your like uh, everything, and like the people go into it thinking like it's all about the action, whatever. It's not. The action's a plus. It's everything else. It's all the characters. It's all that good stuff. So really big fan of you starting that soon. Hopefully you'll keep in touch and let us know how you're enjoying it and stuff because that is my number two anime of all time. So I'm really big fan of Mob and Reagan and them. So
Yeah, definitely, and I mean, it's one where, like, I started it and I'm not gonna say I dropped it, I just didn't finish it. I think I may have watched, 5 or 6 episodes, and I liked the episodes that I watched, but I can't remember if something else started airing, or I can't remember
could have.
exactly what went on at the time that made me not finish it, and I just
Okay.
haven't had a chance to go back and do it, and so, um, man, I'm hoping maybe before the fall season starts because the fall season is packed. Fall '24 anime season is packed, and so I'm hoping that maybe before the fall '24 season starts, I can at least make it through maybe the 1st or 2nd season.
Okay. Yeah.
I didn't even realize they had other seasons out yet.
Wait, what? They got 3 seasons, Nom, it's over. Like, it's
I
Mom's
hadn't
done.
known about the other 2 seasons. I've only watched the first one.
Damn, because season 2 is, like, peak, bro. That's my favorite of the 3 seasons, but you definitely need to watch it, Nom, then.
Oh, I'm
Uh,
binging it at work tomorrow.
yeah. So, it's great. I'm actually starting my rewatch of it because 'cause it's been a few years since I've seen it, and I need to refresh Wise number 2, you know? Um, but,
Nah, season 1 was fantastic of that, though.
yeah. Um, before we get like started into the news and stuff, there's like one more thing I'm gonna ask or whatever, and then if Nom's got anything he just wants to ask, what's some of your favorite anime? You know, we talked about like genres and stuff. Like, give me some of your favorite anime, like top 3 or something like that, or no particular order, maybe just some favorites. 3 of them.
Okay. So yeah, definitely One Piece. One Piece is my all-time favorite. I mean, I tell people all the time, it's the greatest story ever told. Like, regardless of genre, medium, whether anime, TV, movie, I feel like it's the greatest story ever told. I mean, to be able to span 25 years and consistently not only keep a fan base, but grow a fan base and be consistent in great storytelling and great character development and character introduced. I I feel like it is the greatest story ever told. Then I would probably say my number two would be Hunter x Hunter. Uh, Hunter x Hunter is I mean, I know it's gone on hiatus, off and on over the past like decade or so, but it probably has the best power system in anime, and the characters, you just love them. Like, the character development that they all go through from start to where the anime ends, and, I mean, if you read the manga and where the manga goes to, I feel like it's great. It's one that I probably rewatch Hunter x Hunter maybe at least once a year. Um, Number 3, I go back and forth between Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood and Yu Yu Hakusho. Um, Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood tends to beat it out because, I did a rewatch earlier this year, and so it's a little more recency bias, but I'm overdue for a rewatch of Yu Yu Hakusho. I think I'll probably, like, do a rewatch of that this year just to remind myself of how good, but Yu Yu Hakusho, it had the greatest tournament arc probably ever. I mean, everybody else copied off of it pretty much, and, I mean, Full Metal Alchemist, that story, it's so what's the proper word? That story is so emotional and so good, and, I mean, it's one where it doesn't take, a couple of 100 chapters to tell. It's a quick, short, you can rewatch it, you know, over a couple of weeks and still feel the exact same emotion from the very first time that you watched it. And so, yeah, I'd probably and if I had to give a 5, with those 4, I would probably say Gundam. Gundam was the first anime series that I watched, and so I've always had a love for Gundam and a love for mechs. If I had to pick a favorite Gundam series, I'd probably say Iron-Blooded Orphans is probably my favorite Gundam series, but, uh, I like what they've been doing here recently with, like, The Witch from Mercury, the Hathaway series, Unicorn. Netflix has the Requiem for Vengeance coming out in November, so I'm definitely gonna check it out. But yeah, Gundam was the first anime series that I was actually able to watch.
Okay. Um, yeah, fun thing about me, Dan's always wanted me to watch Yu Yu Hakusho, and I have not yet, so, maybe one of these days.
No, you gotta watch it. Yeah, you definitely gotta watch it. It's a pretty easy watch, and I mean, it's exciting. I mean, some of the jokes have, you know, they're kinda dated, and you probably watch them now and be like, "Oh, man, that this was a kid's show."
It's
But
just like Dragon Ball, you know? So
yeah, Yeah, definitely. Yeah, but definitely, Dragon Ball's humor probably, man, yeah, it'd probably beat out Yu Yu Hakusho as far as, like, the dated humor and the stuff that they allowed, but
The good
Yu
old
Yu
classic
Hakusho.
Bulma scene, you know?
Mhm. Yeah, but, nah, man, you gotta watch Yu Yu Hakusho, and then you gotta come and we gotta talk about it.
Okay. Maybe I'll do that soon, but, uh, I think maybe in the next couple months, maybe, you know, something like that. Probably a good timeline,
Yu
so,
Yu Hakusho was a good one. I
Yeah.
watched quite a bit of that one. I would say it's definitely worth a watch, though.
okay.
Yeah, yeah, I just remember watching it when it was airing and, oh, man, I think the, scene that got me, it was pretty far along, when he was training with, uh, Genkai and in the cave and with the little I don't remember, like, the little monster animal or whatever that was with him, but that scene, oh, man, that scene was, like, emotional and badass. It's like when he completed his training, and that was one of my favorite, and that what really made me a fan of Yu Yu Hakusho.
Alrighty.
Yeah.
Nam, you got anything to ask Shad? Like any of your burning questions about anime?
For first and foremost, most important question to get out of the way: who is your favorite One Piece character?
My favorite One Piece character, uh,
You can
Jinbei.
even do a top 5 if you wanted to.
Oh,
Yeah.
Jinbei. Okay.
Yeah, Jinbei, I feel like he him along with Brook, I feel like are sort of like sneaky, powerful characters. Because I mean, if you look at both of them, uh, Jinbei was fending off Big Mom, like, and not even really I mean, I'm pretty sure it was a heavy task, a heavy lift, but it was not like a struggle, like, and he was able to fend her off. Whereas you had Law and Kid, they were struggling against Big Mom. And I think there are like 2 instances where Jinbei, uh fought Big Mom, 'cause I think whenever I think his allegiance was to Big Mom, and when he decided to join the Straw Hats, he went to Big Mom to tell her that, like, "I'm no longer flying your flag. Fishman Island is no longer gonna be flying your flag. We're Straw Hats now." And, like, the level of, like I feel like what's the proper word? The respect that that character has where it's like, he's not just gonna change sides. He's gonna go to one of the strongest beings in this verse and tell her to her face, it's like, "I no longer follow you. We're no longer flying your flag. We're flying his flag because he's gonna be the Pirate King." And then he was able to walk out of there. And she said it was gonna cost him, and he's like, "Okay, whatever, bring it on."
Look
And I
who
mean,
got who
Ego
look
child
who
here.
look who
yeah,
got paid who paid the most after it's all said and done though, you know?
yeah. Yeah, and Wano, he did it as well, like, in Wano, I think he fended her off then as well, and so, he's one of those characters where it's like, I know, people kinda made it jokes or whatever when the Wanted posters came out, and he was above Sanji, but I honestly feel like it was probably well deserved, and he probably has, like, some feats and some skills that we don't know about, but Sanji wasn't out there fending off Big Mom.
But
I'm
Jinbei, he's got experience too, you know what I mean? He's been like the warlord and like he's been around for a while. And
Mhm.
it's funny you should mention that. Like Dan, pretty sure Dan, unless he's changed his mind recently, he's always said Jinbei was number three. So
Yeah. Yeah, I feel like there's a solid argument for it, and I feel like that I know it was made as sort of a joke, but I still feel like Jinbei is gonna show up and show why he's number 3 on that.
okay. I like that.
Good, yeah, no, solid argument. I like that. Um, one other question that I have, and this is mainly because how much you said that you've read a lot of different mangas and stuff like that.
Mhm.
Do you obviously you watch the animes as well? Do you ever feel at any point that any of that ever detracts when you're watching the anime? Like, do you still get the same kind of goosebumps? I've read One Piece, right? So I'm still current and stuff like that. But even knowing what was happening with this last episode and the Galaxy Impact, like it still gave me goosebumps watching it, right? Do you still get that feeling from like every single anime that you watch that you've actually read previously?
Yeah. I mean, I absolutely do because I feel like they're they're 2 different forms of media, so they're meant to be consumed separately. And so, like with reading, you get to use your imagination a little bit. You don't get to see every intricate detail. But then when it comes to an anime, they get to animate all of those small details, and they get to tell it exactly how the creator meant it to be told. And those are little details that you can't include in a manga. And so the Galaxy Impact, for example, was a good example. The most recent episode of One Piece that showed it. Reading the manga, it was hype. You know, that whole thing it was like, oh shit.
Garp's
Like,
coming.
yeah, it's like
Here
Garp,
comes
like
Garp.
he has this title, Hero of the Marines, for a reason. He fought on par with Goldie Roger, and you can see it. He's still one of the strongest characters in that verse, and, um, not gonna go ahead of the anime, that'll be a spoiler, I'll keep it here, but there's a scene after the Galaxy Impact where he's standing there, and in my opinion that scene, like, in the manga, it's just one panel where he's standing there in front of the ship, but
Mhm.
in the
Yep.
anime, you get you get to see what he says, you get to see the galaxy impact, you get to see the ship gliding in behind him, you get to see the reaction on the pirate's face, you get to see him standing there looking serious, looking like a badass old guy, and it's a different feeling than from when you read it in the manga. And so, regardless of whether I've read it or not, it's a completely different experience. And I always tell people, like, don't be such a purist to where you can't allow yourself to enjoy different forms of media. Like, there's the whole reason that, it was animated. And then, like, even with TV and movies that are made from books or comics, like, yeah, you may have read the book, you may have read the comic, but being able to watch it, gonna experience something completely different. So just open your mind up and allow yourself to enjoy it like it's the first time.
Yeah, that was very well said. Me personally, like I still get chills too. Like I was current in One Piece manga for a while. I think we're just finishing up what I actually have read in the manga. Right now in the anime. Um,
Mhm,
like one of my favorite episodes of One Piece in recent times was like 10-15. Right. When Luffy walks past Big Mom and Kaido
Mhm.
to go see Kinemon. Like I read that in the manga, and like I had all these feelings or whatever, but it didn't compare with me seeing it in anime. Like in the anime, like I literally had chills, I was crying, like all that stuff. Like it was a totally different thing because like you said that sometimes like anime or animators they take it past the manga's level.
mhm,
Like they do it such way more justice and make it feel way more special and emotional because you got the music, you got you got everything else adding to it. It's just not you just looking at panels.
yeah.
So um
Oh,
in a way like anime is way more special than manga is, for me. So
yeah, they get to add all those elements. I mean, even just something as small as smoke. the smoke that may swirl around the battlefield, or like you said, music. The music that they select can completely change the tone of the scene. And so,
Yeah,
like Luffy going Gear 5, for example,
that
that is the perfect example of like you reading it, and yeah, you get goosebumps and everything, but then in the anime, they add the drums of liberation in, and you know, you can hear the heartbeat, you can hear the drums pounding, and it's just a completely different feeling, and it adds that extra element to it that makes it special in its own right.
and I ain't gonna lie, like I was getting chills just sitting here like remembering my experience of like Gear 5, the
Yeah,
first, reveal, the drums of liberation and stuff like that. I was sitting here getting chills just for you talking about it. So I
yeah,
mean, manga can't do that, So I mean it can get you there, but like it can't do what a great animated like they're just able to elevate it so high, so far. So with just sound alone.
agreed.
Said that one little tweak that just really sends it over the top.
Yep.
No, I just wanted to get your take on it because there's, I've talked to a couple people who they don't watch the anime if they've decided to read the manga, and I always found that foolish because of that exact reasoning right there too, though.
I agree. I have as well, and I mean, I always tell people, enjoy the story that you love the way you wanna enjoy it. So, I mean, if it's reading the manga versus watching the anime, if it's watching it dubbed versus watching it subbed, if it's watching it weekly, binge watching it once the season's over with, enjoy it how you wanna enjoy it. I won't judge it. I'll tell you you're probably missing out, like, if you choose not to, but that's that's your choice. And so, yeah, people enjoy it how you wanna enjoy it. That's how I'll leave it.
Hell yeah. Nam, you got anything else you want to ask Shad, or you want to move on to the news?
No, I think it's about good time we get over to the news. I think we've learned quite a bit about Shad.
Cool, man. Thank y'all.
Hell yeah, One Piece the goat.
Yes.
Speaking of the news, we got just a little bit to go over before we get into our Burn the Witch little review thing. So the first little bit of news we got is the wrong way to use healing magic season 2 has been announced. I'm pretty excited about that. It was one of my favorites, favorite isekai type shows from a couple seasons ago. I didn't think it was gonna get a season 2, so but here we are.
I'm
I'm glad
excited
it
to hear about that too. Yeah,
yeah.
they did
I
a
binge
really good job.
binge watched it probably about, a month ago, and because there have been so many isekai coming out that, like, I'd almost kind of been turned off from the genre, and so I just randomly, like, picked this one up in that, like, dead space between the spring and the summer season, and I thoroughly enjoyed it, so I'm glad that it got a season 2.
I love seeing Rose back again. So
Yeah.
um, but speaking of season two, we do finally have Kaiju number 8 scheduled for 2025. There's also going to be a new special episode called Hoshina's Day Off, and a season one compilation will be released in Japanese theaters 2025. So if any of y'all want to buy us a ticket,
Mhm.
please start now.
I'm kind of wondering if it'll come over this way too. Sometime usually they do, especially since Crunchyroll was like really advertising it. So it would make sense for them to like bring it over here or whatever, right?
Yeah, I'd imagine probably after like a good 4 months, I'd say.
Yeah.
I don't think they're gonna wait that long. I think they see the money that these anime movies are making and how popular they were able because they had the live streams of Kaiju number 8 during while it was airing, and so I think they saw how popular that was because it did really good streaming numbers, and yeah, I don't think it'll be like a you'll have to wait 4 months or anything like that. I feel like they'll probably simul debut it, like, same time it debuts in Japan, it debuts here.
Okay.
It would be
Yeah.
awesome if they do.
Hmm.
Mhm.
Because I mean that should be like a pretty fun little episode. Hoshina, I really enjoyed Hoshina. So
Yeah.
the next bit of news we got is Aharon-san is Indecipherable is getting a season two. I'm not. I know a lot of people out there know what it is or whatever, but I wasn't really big on it, but I know it's been like years since season one came out, so this is big news for the people that actually enjoy this anime. So, and it is it's basically like a rom com, so.
Know the
All right.
I had never heard of it before you brought it up. I had to look it up, and I was like, "What is this? I've never heard of this," but I might check it out.
Yeah, think of it kind of like the kind of romance or like the kind of like sauce of life rom com type thing. Like Komi-san can't communicate. Like it's got that one thing that it focuses on every episode. Uh, kind of like the girl I like forgot her glasses. Like it has that one thing too. Like this one thing is basically Ahara and San like ba- barely whispers, like you can't hardly understand what she says, and that's the whole like premise of each episode. So just different situations, the same thing though.
Yeah, I might have to give it a try.
Okay. Um, in other news, we do have a very sad announcement this time. My Hero Academia's manga is officially over. Um, but on a more positive note, there was actually in the last One Piece manga a special editorial cover piece that was the artwork the creator submitted 22 years ago of Smoker. So if you guys want to check that out, definitely do so.
Yeah, that was a pretty fun, interesting thing that I learned. Uh, that he was a big fan of Oda. It's crazy that Oda's been doing this for so long that he has somebody send in an established, esteemed mangaka send in like a drawing or whatever, made his manga. It became popular and stuff. Already ended, and yeah, and One Piece is still going.
Feel like that was cool because what was it? The mangaka for JJK was like, without My Hero Academia, there would be no JJK. And
Yeah.
so I
Yeah,
feel like his influence was felt, and I mean, it was a good run.
it
Yeah.
was.
So
It was
it's
for sure.
definitely sad for My Hero to be over, but all good things must come to an end sometime or another. Good news is like we got like movies coming out left and right for My Hero. We still got this anime coming out. So probably be a few years before that ends. So um one
Spin-off.
last huh? Oh
I
yeah,
said,
the Vigilantes. Yeah.
yeah, it was popular enough that, yeah, I'm pretty sure they'll have a spinoff.
Yeah. But they already got the Vigilantes thing
Yeah.
or whatever, so they probably will have like a sort of spin-off or something.
Mhm.
Um the last bit of news we got is it's going to be talking about an etchy manga. Please put them on Takamine. An anime has been officially announced, and I just this isn't for me or whatever. Like it's interesting. Like it's got an interesting premise. But I just wanted to throw it in here because Kriegs is going to be super excited. I'm sure he's already seen it. I'm sure
Yeah.
it's on his plan to watch list already. Hell, he might have even read the manga. Who knows? Let us know, Kriegs. But I feel like we have to like read the summary real quick and you know uh let people know about this anime that's coming out because this is kind of wild.
Yes,
Um,
we must let the people know about this.
yeah.
That is what this is about.
we got Takamine. She's one of the most popular girls at school. Good at sports, smart, and a student council pres in her first year. But she has a little secret. She has an ability called Eternal Virgin Road, allowing her to redo past events and achieve different results. But like most powers, it does come at a price. The only way to activate it is to strip off a piece of her lingerie. One of her classmates catch her doing this to make her test scores better, resorting in her making him carry her underwear around so that she has plenty of ammo, basically, to use her ability. I'm assuming. I haven't read the manga, so this begins the story of Takamine and her closet. He's called um, pretty interesting premise. I never thought I'd see the day where ecchi manga got adapted to an anime with this kind of premise. But hell, High Dive is looking for shit every day, so here we are.
Ah,
Equal opportunity,
I
anime, I guess, yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
staying away from this one.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, it's definitely gonna be on High Dive. Ain't no doubt about it. It's probably gonna be uncensored too, kind of like Elf Girl or whatever. Um, like I said, Creeks is real happy about this. I already know. He ain't even gotta tell me. I already know he's happy. So,
We hear you,
um,
Kriegs.
For everybody. Yeah, something out there for everybody.
but yeah, if you're into ecchi anime, check that out or whatever when it comes out, whenever it does come out. But now that's basically it for our news segment. We done a little our interview with Shad. We done the little news thing. So now we get into what y'all came here for, kinda probably. Um,
Hopefully.
we're gonna be talking about Burn the Witch, which is a Kubo one shot, and it's also a Bleach spinoff, but it doesn't really like have like Bleach stuff happening in it. It's its own separate thing, just in the Bleach universe. This come out in I think the one shot come out in 2018 and 2020. The episodes came out in 2020 following the continuation of the manga, the one shot or whatever. It's done by Studio Colorido or something like that. I'm not sure what how you say that, but it's on Crunchyroll. It's got 4 episodes, so easy watch. Make sure y'all go watch it before we start talking about it or whatever. Come back and listen because we are going to be talking about spoilers. It's only 4 episodes. We didn't feel like we needed to do a spoiler free zone for this since it was only 4 episodes. Um, to give y'all a little indication of like kind of what's going on with it, I'm gonna give y'all a summary. Historically, 72% of all deaths in London are related to dragons, fantastical beings invisible to the majority of the people. While unknown to most, some people have been standing up to these dragons. Only inhabitants of reverse London who live in the hidden reverse side of London can see the dragons. Even then, only a selected few become qualified enough as witches or wizards to make direct contact with them. This story basically follows the witch duo of Noelle and Ninny. They are poppers for Wingbind, an organization for dragons conservation and management. Their mission is to protect and manage the dragons within London on behalf of the people. So, to get started with this, like I said, there's going to be spoilers. Make sure y'all go watch this and come back because we're going to be talking about spoilers. Uh, but I was super excited. I was super excited and interested for this spinoff because I'm a pretty big fan of Bleach. Even though it's been a while since I've read the manga and stuff. I actually read the one shot of this back when it first come out. So like I'm just a big fan of Kubo overall. He's one of my favorite mangakas. Like his character designs are just so great in my opinion, especially nowadays. Like when he first started, it was a little bit he was a little bit sketchy or whatever, but he certainly grew up. He certainly like uh, he's certainly doing like a lot of good work now with his characters and his drawings or whatever. So I just want to know like are y'all Bleach fans? Like what was there anything that made y'all interested in this show, or like are y'all just vibing with it?
You first? Yeah, I'm a huge Bleach fan. That's what, got me into Burn the Witch. So, for those that don't know, Bleach was the first manga that I ever read. I was
Same
a
here.
huge Yeah, I was a huge fan of the anime, and so when the anime ended, I went and sought out the manga because I was like, I know for a fact that this is not where this is ending." And so once I finished that, it was a few years later, I saw some buzz about this new one shot that Kubo put out, Burn the Witch, and so there was gonna be an anime accompanying it, and I think that they were gonna potentially try to pick it up to be serialized. And so, again, I'm like you. I love Kubo's art. It's so clean and crisp from where he was in the beginning, and his character designs, and I mean, you see it going into Burn the Witch with the dragons and the different beasts, and I'm not sure what they're called, but the different beasts in Burn the Witch, and so interesting character designs, love the art, love the premise of the story, and you said it's a quick pick up and read or watch.
Yeah. What about you, Nam? Did you hear anything about this show before we mentioned it, or like did you see it on Crunchyroll, anything like that?
Nope, I watched it primarily because we were gonna be talking about it.
Okay. Yeah,
I'm gonna be
no.
honest about it. Um, that being said, though, to start off with, there wasn't really like a whole lot that stuck out to me, but then like just watching the first episode and them talking about dragons and stuff, that alone was enough to get me hooked in. What what is not awesome about dragons? All right?
I love dragons.
Exactly. So it's just one of those things where like it was very easy for me to get into, and um also with like the whole witch theme and magic and stuff like that, like any of those high fantasy RPGs where you get to like create a character and magic is an option, catch me being a wizard all day long, pointy fucking hat and all, tickle fingers, staff, wand, I don't care. I will be a mage all day long. So it was nice to see as well too, like just another show that kind of like intertwined dragons magic, and it was in like a more modern setting too. So
Okay. Yeah, and like they say dragons or whatever, right? But like not all of them like clearly look like dragons. Like they kind of like remind me of like dinosaurs and stuff too. But they're all dragons. So, which is super interesting. I guess it's just this. I'm assuming it's like this world's or area's version of Hollows, right? I would assume.
they've
Yeah,
got to be, yeah. Go ahead.
but oh yeah, I was saying that's what I was thinking is if you look at the dragons, like even in that very first episode, the first dragon that they introduce you to, the face is reminiscent of a hollow mask, like almost if you just go back and look, and even the Cinderella dragon at the end, there's a resemblance to it. It's not like an exact replica, but I can see where he sort of made that relation.
Yeah. Um. I guess since we you know said how our relationship with Bleach was or whatever. I want to get into like if we watched it subbed or dubbed, or if we watched some of it both. Like I guess I'll start with you now. I'm like, which way did you watch it?
Um, so I watched it in this is gonna be jumping ahead a little bit, but we'll cover that later. In chronological order, so I watched episodes 1 through 4. 1 through 3 were dubbed. Episode 4 is
Yeah.
only available subbed, so I actually got a chance to hear both of them. Um, and honestly, I like it both ways. I feel like they
Okay.
did a really good job with the English voice acting. So I was pleasantly surprised. I guess maybe they could have put on more of like an accent for them supposed to be like in London. They were very American.
Yeah, that that's my only complaint about like the voice acting or whatever. It's not that it's bad. Like I preferred to like the subbed version was really good. Like I watched a couple episodes subbed, and but I enjoyed it better dubbed. because this is supposed to be in London, right? So like there's supposed to be like English speaking people, and I feel like that's the way I want to watch it, right? Like it makes more sense for them to be speaking English. And the dubbed voice cast was actually really amazing. I don't think there was like many people that like really stood out as far as like popularity or whatever, but it was still really good. But I'm with Nam. I really do think that they should have had some kind of accent though, because this is London, so they should have been like speaking somewhat like a British, British accent or whatever. I feel like that would have made it so much better. But we can't get what we want all the time, right? So
I'm glad I'm not the only one who thought that. Like,
yeah,
I thought that, like, I was the only one who thought that, like, they're supposed to be in London, like, they don't talk like that in London, but
yeah,
I watched both ways. When it came out subbed and then when the dub came out, I watched both. I
okay.
enjoyed both as well.
Yeah, I
All
mean,
right.
this show like does a lot to make you believe that this is London, right? So like it didn't make sense that they would like leave out the whole like accent thing when they was trying so hard to make us believe that. So
Yeah, I was sitting there and I was like, why does Ninny sound like one of my neighbors? So
um
it was one of those things though that honestly, aside from that though, like you said, they did a really good job with the English voice actors. I don't think that they necessarily went for like high name actors and actresses, but I think that they went for talented, and it really shown.
yeah. Um I guess the next thing I got is production. Um the side of things. So we got it done. This show is done by Studio Colorado. They've done shows like Star Wars Visions. They've done My Only Girl, which come out like a couple months ago or whatever on Netflix. And they've got a couple more shows under their belt too, but nothing like too like popular, I guess. Like the most popular ones is obviously Burn the Witch, Star Wars, and My Only Girl. Everything else is like under my radar, so I don't even know what the hell they are. Um, but I just want to know like how they did in y'all's opinion. How did they do with animation? Because I thought they was extremely good. Like they done a really good job of making everything like flow right, look smooth, and like the colors and stuff was so pretty. Like one thing about this universe is like there's a lot of introduction like to the world and stuff, and they actually made it look beautiful. So I want to know if y'all had similar thoughts, if y'all had anything y'all didn't like, stuff like that. So I guess Shad, you can go first this time.
Yeah, for sure. And so they, because they've done some Pokemon, animations as well, and so I think they do a really good job with their colors and with their scenery in their animations. But, I'm probably the worst person to ask because when everybody say, "Oh, that was animated horribly," I'm like, "Whatever, shut up and enjoy it." Like, it because I feel like that's one thing that people hang up on, and it's like, "Okay, are you here for the story, or are you here because they made this, epic CG, 3D animated scene?" And me personally, I'm here for the story. And so if they, don't blow the budget on this random building in episode 3, part 2.5, I don't care. As long as the story is good, I can enjoy it. And so but with that being said, they did a really good job with the animation, and I feel like, for what it was, they really stepped up to the plate and knocked it home.
Yeah. What about you, Nam?
Yeah, no, like you said with the Pokemon, they did Twilight Wings, and I actually watched a few episodes of that, and I thought that that was fantastic. Visions was also pretty good. So they've done a lot of work. I feel, especially for only a few short years, basically. that a lot of this stuff has come out. And no, they did a really good job with everything. I mean, the magic came through really, really clear. And it was very, very easy to follow along too with everything that they were doing as far as their movements go, which I feel is something that gets lost in a lot of these shorter animes, right? And like maybe some unknown studios. It's not a big property, right? They don't want to necessarily take the risk, and these studios they don't quite put the vision together as good as what this studio did. I mean, the colors, the lighting, the framing, everything about it was very, very well done, and it really gave a good sense too of just like how big the city is with
Yeah.
the scale too, and that was I felt really impressive because London's a big city, right? And then you have reverse London, and you have like what is it? I'd say like a tenth of the city getting basically carpet bombed
Yeah.
in episode 3, and just to see like the actual scale of that city, I felt like they did a really good job of that too, which if they are continuing this and it does pick up more, like that's going to be a big thing going forward. You know, you have to show the scale of the dragons compared to the people. You have to show the scale of the world. You have to show just how everything, matches up to each other. And I think that they're doing a fantastic job with that too, which really
Mm,
speaks volumes to their abilities.
and Cinderella, the dragon that they fight at the end was animated beautifully. I think they did a really good job showing that she was an elegant beast, and at the same time, extremely powerful and, like, how massive she was. And so I feel and I'm wondering if, they did Pokemon, and I mean, I think this and that Pokemon, the first Pokemon they animated came out around the same time. And so I'm wondering if they were specifically looking for an animation studio that worked with beasts, like drawing and animating these magical beasts.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and it would make sense if they did too. Just considering like not even just like the dragons themselves, but like the little brooms that they ride on and stuff like that too. And Osushi and how he like sprouts out the wings and was flying
Yeah.
around and stuff like that.
Yeah, and also like now that you mention it, like my Oni girl, it has like spirit, flying spirit, beast things in it, and it kind of reminds me of like the dragons and stuff in here. So one thing I want to mention too is that like they done a good job of like bringing like Kubo's character designs to life too. Like everything looked like just as good as like Thousand Year Blood War, right? Like you could see, you could kind of see like Kubo's works in, the faces and stuff still. Like they done a good job of letting that shine through still while doing a really good job. So um anything else y'all want to say about the animation?
Um, I agree. You see Kubo's art style because I was trying to look for his name. Um, Bruno. If
Yeah.
you took a close look at him, he's Grimjow.
Yeah, I was he basically is, and like even like I think it's Noelle or one of I think it's Noelle. She kind of reminds me like Orihime. So
Mhm.
um like you just you start going down that path, you're like, is this Ichigo? Because like in a way, like Kubo draws all his faces kind of the same, but not. So like it's always fun. But yeah, I guess if y'all don't have anything else to say about animation, that side of things, I want to like talk about the world building because with only 4 episodes, we had like the 3 episodes, then we had like the prequel point 0.8 special thing. Um, how do y'all think that they done, given that they only had 4 episodes to give us a like a pretty good picture of this world. Like this is a new world. It doesn't like piggyback off Bleach much. It's its own thing, and it's in like London, reverse London, and all that stuff. So like, how well did Kubo like do in building this world in a short amount of time?
I thought that it was really well done. I mean, you took a real world location, right? So it helps simplify that you don't need to create, a time. You don't need to create an era. You don't need to create a city. It's already been done for you, right? And if you pick a modern time, it makes it even more simplistic because now technology has been determined for you. And that's what he did, right? He tapped right into it. Starting with episode one, not point eight, the first thing you get to see is a cell phone in Ninny's hand, and she just uses it to create a spark. But then seeing a lot of the other things too, right? Like a lot of the stuff for reverse London, the ability to use like a teleporter to get through there and stuff like that, and how it's basically just literally London, but for all the witches and stuff like that, and all the dragons, um, which was really, really well done and very easy to follow.
Yeah, yeah, and I think that, he did a good job of, showing that in this world, it's not like the Soul Society. He did a good job of, like, differentiating the 2 stories and the aspects of those stories. So it's like, yeah, you do have the Soul Society and you have Tokyo, but in here in reverse London, this is London. The damage that happens in reverse London takes place in London, but they have a whole PR team that goes in and like, "Oh, they fought this dragon and it destroyed this building. This was a gas explosion." And then, same with the other dragons that because, I mean, from what I took of it, these other dragons are not all based in London per se, but there are gonna be some on, I guess, what do they call it? The countryside in London or the suburbs. It would be the suburbs here in the US. And they did a good job of showing that people live double lives. There are some of the witches who they are witches, but they also have celebrity in the real world or in the human world. And so I feel like they did a good job with that as well.
Yeah, like Ninny, for example, she's part of like a girls band, like idol group or whatever, and that's where she makes all her money. And it was like it was said multiple times that she's not, being a witch or whatever for money. She wants like the points, the
Mhm.
um whatever you call that. Like she wants to rise the ranks and I
Right.
guess be known for like being a witch or whatever. And then you got Noelle on the other side. She's the one who wants the money or whatever. Um and that's a pretty fun dynamic, I think.
Yeah. You got people like Bruno who he's in it for the recognition, but at that same time of like he's in it for the recognition. He also realizes the significance of these dragons and the impact that they can have on the human side or the real side of London. Um, which I feel like if we get more, and this is just my theory, that Bruno wants all of this recognition because in the human world, he has a menial job. That's my theory. Like, I don't know, but I feel like he's trying to overcompensate for not achieving in the human world by achieving in reverse London.
I feel like at some point or whatever, like so, like Bruno, for example, he's like the highest you can get, or like close to the highest you can get as a witch or a wizard, right? Like he's a what they call the top of the horns, which is like the I guess the top dogs of the wizards society thing we got going over here in reverse London. So like I'm just wondering, like, at what point, like, do you have to stop, like, living a double life in order to, like, take care of business in reverse London, you know?
And
It's
I don't know because I feel like if the story continues, and I feel like it will continue, I feel like maybe after the Thousand Year Blood War arc, that may be something that picks up. Because I know Kubo is heavily involved with the currently airing Thousand Year Blood War arc, and he put thought into this, and this wasn't some random one shot that was an extension of the Bleach verse, kinda like he did with other one shots. Uh, he had to go in and create a whole 'nother lore, a whole 'nother group of characters, a whole 'nother setting, and so I feel like we're gonna explore it, and I don't think that what we got in this one shot will be the end.
yeah, so, I did look it up, and they said that, I'm gonna say season 2, like, season 2 of the manga, right? Not a season 2 of the anime, but season 2 of the manga, because for some reason they're calling, what's already released season 1, and I guess, season 2 has already been confirmed. It's just that he's on hiatus right now, probably for the exact reason you said. So it is confirmed, so we'll be probably getting a continuation of like this second season, which is probably like 4 or 5 more chapters or whatever. Like after, probably after Thousand Year Blood War gets done, I'd say. Um, but speaking of like the whole like building lores and stuff, right? Do y'all think it's do y'all think it's like kind of any part like lazy that he's like basing his kind of like lores or whatever on the like fairy tales or whatever, like Cinderella, Snow White, Riding Hood, like all that? Do y'all find it lazy, or y'all think he's gonna like put like a crazy twist or something on it?
I I think that honestly it's just a simple matter of it was a nice way to kind of tie in English like history, I guess, like fairy tales with these mythical dragons, which they didn't think actually would exist, or just again, they didn't think existed because let's be honest, when they announced Cinderella, it was like, oh, I only read this in the encyclopedia. There's never been any documented cases where they actually understand the abilities of what these dragons can do, which is why when she carpet bombed, it was such a surprise. Um, and I feel like they're just kind of like again using like old fairy tales and stuff like that to come up with names for these fairy tale dragons. I don't think that it's lazy at all. Actually, I think that he went very, very deep into the lore to tie all this in.
Yeah, I agree, and I mean, if you look at it, it loosely ties to the story because if you look at the dragon that became Cinderella, Glass Slipper, that dragon could turn invisible. You could see a shimmer of it, but it had to find the right moment, and it became this elegant princess that walks down, and I mean, you mentioned carpet bombing London. It walks down a carpet in London. Um, I feel like he's gonna find a unique way to tell each of these stories that loosely ties into the lore of that particular fairy tale. And each dragon is gonna be unique in that way. So, like, there's a Hansel and Gretel one. I fully believe that that one is gonna involve that dragon either eating or eating kids, and in some way. And all of these dragons that have probably been there, but have been in hiding, but for whatever reason are becoming active. And I feel like it's going to be a very interesting take on these fairy tales.
Yeah, and another thing that's kind of interesting is you got all these like legend. I want to say legendary dragons coming out to play now or whatever. But apparently, our boy, uh, Balgo, yeah, Balgo is like is like a key or something. He's able to, like, I guess, bring them out and draw them to him or something like that. I'm not sure. Um, we didn't really get like too far into that. We just know that he's like a key or something. Did y'all find anything interesting about that?
Yeah, I wanna learn more because I mean, I think they said that he became, can't pronounce this, but it translates to the haunted one.
The dragon
And
clad.
yeah, yeah, and so I wanna know what that means. Like, they mention it and they bring it up, but we don't know, uh, what that means. Was this just someone who, in the past, summoned these dragons to wreak havoc? Was this, in the past, someone who summoned these dragons and, defeated, or, when they're a hero of some sort where they are they are born or created or around whenever these fairy tales get active, and it's their responsibility to take out these dragons or protect everyone from these dragons. We don't know, and so I'm hoping that that gets explained if the story continues.
So one thing that I recall, which I found interesting, it was in episode point 8, right? And they mentioned that after he got bit, right? Because in the prequel, his buddy was actually a dragon. He was a disguiser. And when he got bit, he that's basically how he became a dragonclad. But
Yeah.
like you though said, Shad, like what does that even mean? Yeah, dragons are attracted to him, but why? And another thing too is, does the dragonclad have anything to do with that one sword that he spawned out of that trumpet? Because that's that was never explained. It was never mentioned again. It was never brought up, and it was happened in the last episode.
Yeah.
So it's a huge cliffhanger. You gave us so much mystery and intrigue, and you you didn't really leave any room to follow up on it, which is great for if you do decide to continue it. But if you don't, like,
Yeah, left you with
what are we gonna do?
Yeah, I don't think that this is going to be shut down. I truly think that Kubo plans to keep this going when, after Bleach is done, because I just don't think he would have done like, like, the one shot was different. Like, he kind of like done his own thing or whatever, gauged the interest or whatever. But these 3 episodes after, it was telling the beginning of a story, like, it wasn't like, so I have faith that Kubo will like tell us more. It's just that we're so early. We're like, what, 4 to 5 chapters deep into this new story in the Bleach universe. So like, we're not gonna know everything. Maybe, and it might be a possibility that Bago being a dragonclad or whatever. Maybe that's sort of ties into like Zanpakuto, right? Like that sword he got. Maybe that's sort of like a Zanpakuto, from the other side of the world or whatever. Maybe that's a way to tie into like legends and the other side of the Soul Society or whatever.
Mm,
So
That'd be a pretty interesting take.
yeah,
yeah, yeah. I have a feeling with the way that they went that this sword is gonna end up being like Excalibur.
That's kind of what I was thinking too. Like, not only that, but then they rescinded his bounty right after the events of everything. Why do that if he's really gonna bring another calamity like that? Unless they know something with that sword.
yeah. They basically said that they're gonna use him to
Mhm.
track down the rest of the legendary dragons or whatever and eliminate them or something like that. is what I got out of it.
Yeah, Bruno. Yeah, that was what Bruno did. He was like, "No, rescind it," because he wants the fame from killing these dragons.
Yeah.
'Cause,
And I'm pretty sure that they didn't rescind it yet. He was like putting it on the docket or whatever. So,
No, nope. It was officially rescinded at the end.
okay. Okay.
yeah, 'cause
I
what was it? I
didn't.
think it was, Billy that um,
Yeah.
actually killed Cinderella, but I think Bruno was the one who got the credit for it.
Yeah.
Yep.
And
Yeah.
that's crazy too because Billy literally just like done like a finger pistol type shit or something. And like how strong is this guy to be taking out a legendary dragon from so many like meters away with just a
One
like
sh
a spirit blast or whatever the hell he done. I don't even know what that's called. But like so, like, is he kinda gonna be the Uehara type person?
I don't know, and that I was wondering that too because, I mean, between Bruno who I mean, they showed he is a very competent wizard. I mean, he took Noelle and Nini out with ease, and, like, there was and they've been shown to be somewhat competent witches, and everything that he threw and that they threw at Cinderella, nothing worked. Billy one-shot Cinderella from miles away.
Yeah,
and,
Yeah,
and and didn't even make a big deal about it either. That was the best part. Like
yeah.
it was the one investigator lady who found the hole in the glass, and he was just he never said anything. He even played it off. They came to collect their money, and she was like, "5, that's not enough." And he was like, "Well, Billy got the kill." And she was like, "He didn't do
yeah.
it."
Yeah, so I'm kinda curious about that because I did not see, like, Billy taking that kill from them, but I think maybe the whole Balgo thing was, like a shock. So I guess maybe he didn't want to. Maybe I think he knows a little bit more about what Boggo's got going on for him. You know what I mean? I think that's also the reason why he put Boggo in the care of like Noel and Ninny instead of like killing him because usually, from what I understand, if you touch a dragon or whatever, like it's either 100 years imprisonment or you get executed, and instead of either one of those, he was able to just become like Noel and Ninny just babysitting him now. Um, so that's pretty interesting. Like why deviate from the policy that's in place? Not once but twice because they did it again with Macy at the end. So
Yeah.
which is interesting as well. But she is a they actually called her something. I think they called her a watcher. Said that she had like so much mana or whatever. And so I think that, Balgo and Macy are like keys to something in the future that Billy kind of knows about, but he's not saying anything about it. So,
Yeah, or he just might not be able to say anything about it.
yeah.
Yeah,
Might be a test for
because,
them,
like
and
yeah, you're not that powerful, and, he's essentially, like, watching over them. Like, he had no reason to get involved in that. I mean, he coulda let them keep going. He coulda let, uh, someone else because, I mean, uh, Bruno is the top of the horn member, and we don't exactly know what that means. I mean, I imagine it's sort of like their special forces, but I imagine that they probably would have came out and handled the situation, but he didn't wanna see them get hurt.
Yeah. Um Yeah, as far as I know, the top of the horn, I think they like briefly mentioned that they was like the strongest or like of the wind bind or whatever, right?
Mhm.
is what I remember seeing. And then there's like the other division that Nini wants to get into. Uh, I forget what it's called though. She says it a couple times. She wants to get into them. Um, let's see, Sabers, the Sabers. Nini
Yeah.
wants to join the Sabers, which is actually that black haired chick that's seen the hole in the glass or whatever. She's like the chief or the director of the Sabers, which is interesting. So you got all these things like we're learning about like the structure of Windbind, right? But we still don't know a whole lot about it. We just know the basics of it. One thing I want to ask though is like, so in this world, instead of like the witches having brooms, right? They have broom buggies, which is like dragons that are the brooms, right? And they don't really have like the original Bleach has Zonpak toes, but this world doesn't really have anything like Zonpak toes, right? Do y'all think the broom buggies, the dragons that they ride on, is kind of like their Zonpak toes? Because I see that like Noel and Ninnies, like they're very little, they're very small or whatever, and they're still able to like do like magic stuff. But then you got Bruce on the other hand, his dragon was humongous. So like it almost makes me wonder like, do dragons get bigger as your power increases? Like are they kind of like the Zompok toes of this soul society? What do y'all think?
Well, I feel like weapons will be introduced that, I feel like they're gonna follow that sort of, um, fairy tale type of lore where they're gonna introduce these items, these magical items. We had, the sword that he pulled from the trumpet. I feel like they're probably gonna introduce maybe some type of wand or some type of magical pipe or I feel like they're gonna use magic items that will sort of take place of the Zanbakuto. 'Cause I mean, if we look at Bruno, for example, he uses the spray paint. Um, I'm not sure if that's like his specialty, his specific magical items is the spray paint with the graffiti and everything. But I feel like that's what's gonna happen. They're gonna introduce different magical items and that's gonna play a big part in the story.
Okay. I can definitely see the magical items, but I do believe that the dragons would essentially be the equivalent of the spirit inside of the Zanpakutos, right? So I feel like the broom buggies or the dragons will get larger the stronger that the witch gets, and that they will eventually be able to um basically fight alongside them more on equal grounds, much like what Bruno does. Because like calling out the name, using him to basically track things down or do something that he himself otherwise would not be able to. I don't have a lot of Bleach experience. To those of you who are listening, I'm watching it currently. Calm yourselves. All right. But based on what I've seen, everyone calls out the name of their Zanpakuto, and then it does whatever ability that it does. And it seems a lot like that's what the dragons are kind of representing is that spirit inside. But I do believe that it's going to be a lot more involved with than that, just because with the pipe tool, right? The witches, for instance, they were calling out numbers as they were literally doing their spells.
Yeah, magic
How
number
many
44 and shit, right?
Yeah, how many of those do they have? How varying are they? Are there different types of magic, right? Like, is there different elements? And does that determine what you actually have as well? Like, there's so many questions that I have answers to in regards to it, but obviously, like the pipes and stuff like that can't be the Zanpakuto. and it ultimately seems like the next logical thing would be a living creature.
Yeah, and I think that you brought up a good point with the spells, because the spells are essentially, hmm, have they used? I think they have. They've used keto at the point that you're at in Bleach already. I think whenever they went to retrieve Rukia, when Renji and Byakuya went and retrieved Rukia, they used the keto spell. And that's the first thing that came to my mind because Bruno, uh, when him and then when Noel and Nini did that binding spell, I immediately thought, this is keto. And uh, trying not to get too far into the Bleach spoilers for you, but basically, yeah, I feel like these spells will play a big part in it because it seems like they lean more heavily on these spells or this this keto sort of related magic than they did in Bleach.
And that makes sense because they are like wizards and yeah, wizards and witches. So, which would normally lean towards that. Um, but I think also one thing that they do a little bit different over here is that they have like over in the Soul Society, like you're like a Soul Reaper or you're not, right? Like it's kind of the same thing unless you're like captains and shit, right? But over here, they actually got like different things. They got like poppers, so they got like the sabers, they got the top of the horns, and the poppers is basically I think they're basically for doing like on end jobs regarding them dragons, right? Because normal people can't touch the dragons. Like that's
They're like
their
the foot
job is to
soldiers.
go like do the bullshit stuff
Yeah,
with the dragons. So
yeah, they're like the foot soldiers of
yeah.
they're like the Squad 11 of the Soul Society where they go and they do all the little they're the infantry, the foot soldiers.
Yeah.
And, because I think one difference, or at least one thing that I've seen, that differentiates all of these people are alive. Uh, in Bleach, in the Soul Society, all of them are dead, like,
Yeah.
they're souls. This is where you go after you die. Uh, the Soul Society captains are the ones who had enough spirit energy to be able to fight against Hollows, but in Burn the Witch, uh, they're alive and they are living in reverse London. They're living in London and working in reverse London, and so they live these dual lives where in Bleach they're dead. Their life is the Soul Society and fighting these hollows or whatever it may be. And so I think that was I never thought about that before until we were just talking just now.
Yeah, do you think like the so like in the reverse London, you got all these people with the like space suits on, right? Or like the protective suits. Um Do you think that they, are alive, or do you think they're, like, dead on that side because they're not witches or whatever, right? They're just like normal people, and they're not allowed to touch these dragons and stuff. Um, I was kinda curious about that myself, like, if they're alive or dead, if they can cross over, or if they're stuck on the reverse London, you know?
I'm not sure. I'm not sure if it's like a witch society. I mean, I guess that's one of the things that they would have to explain because uh thinking about like um getting out of anime a little bit, thinking about like Harry Potter. There's a whole witch and wizard society that lives alongside the normal people. And so I wonder if this is like just a society of witches or wizards and, they're alive, but they're either a witch or a wizard or a descendant of a witch or a wizard. They have no place in this normal human world because, I mean, they don't say, but I feel like not just anybody can be a witch or a wizard. They have to have magic. They have to, be able to see the dragons and do these things to be considered a witch or a wizard. It's just, they live in both worlds.
Yeah, I kind of see it as the same thing that they're they're ultimately just people that go there. I think that they found a way to go there. They don't they don't necessarily have to have magic. Maybe they just found a better way of living over there and they don't want to go back to normal London. Um, but in order to abide by the rules, they have those suits on so that way they're, hopefully staying out of contact with the dragons.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I was just kind of curious about what y'all thought about that. Um, I know, like, before we like move out of the world building or whatever, I wanted to bring up like this Kubo and like this anime like does a really good job of like doing a lot of world building. Like they have some pretty unique takes uh with dragons, right? So like they use dragons for a lot of different things. They use them for labor, they use them for food. They have like the dragon bus, the plane thing that only the witches or whatever can get on. It kind of reminds me like the cat bus from the Studio Ghibli movie. I forget what it's called. Um, they also have like dragon insurance. Like it's stuff like that that's really cool because like most other like mangaka or whatever, they wouldn't like add that in like dragon insurance, right? Like you gotta have your house insurance. No, not in this world. You gotta have dragon insurance. And that's
Mhm.
like super cool. So
Yeah, I agree. It's all those little details that are you can tell that Kubo is a great storyteller because it's the minor details that, when you think about it, if dragons are prevalent in this world, why wouldn't you have dragon insurance? If dragons go on a rampage, why wouldn't they be able to throw up a blockade from this section of the city or this street to this street? And so it's the little things like that that I feel like make it. I mean, even the little the plants,
yeah.
um, the little things like that, the little extras that like the story doesn't necessarily need them, but they help tell the story. And it's the little details, in my opinion, that matter. I mean, uh, Oda does the same thing in One Piece. I mean, from the little details in the early episodes that come back, the snails. He could have just used, normal walkie-talkies, but he has these little snails that take on the characteristics of whoever owns it. Just those little extra details that add to the story. I love that type of thing.
Yeah, no, they did a fantastic job with all of it, and just even like um episode point 8 where Noel tells Ninny, "All right, grab the tape off the area," and then the she like basically blasts the dragon and almost finishes it off, and it's like, what was the point of the tape?
Just
Mhm.
But
in case.
they took that extra precaution and they sectioned off that area so that way no humans would enter the area, and it was only for people that could actually deal with the dragon. So like even taking that extra little step there just really helps solidify that this is more than just like a battle manga, right? You're not going in there just fighting. You're not going in there for any unknown reason. You're going in there with the purpose that like you're trying to take care of people. So there's structure, there's order in this world, and he does an excellent job, I feel, of also following through with that too. There was a point where they were like, "All right, well, let's call in so and so," and she's like, "What are you doing?" "We're gonna take that dragon down." And then they fly over there and they proceed to do that thing. So it's one of those things where like, they really really touched up on all the super minor things that you notice all the time, but
Mhm.
you never say anything about it.
Yeah, and I
Okay.
mean, even their jobs, because like, what is it? Noel and Nini, what was it? They're like, uh,
Pipers, I
conservationists,
think it was.
yeah, they're pipers, and then, like, their job is to basically, like, catch any, like illegal dragons, any dragons that, like, aren't registered or aren't, I guess I don't know if there's, like, an illegal dragon trade or whatever, but that's their job, but then the sabers are the ones who actually protect the citizens from these dragons. And then, what is it? They have the I guess what Bruno is, which seems like an elite force of of uh this version of the Soul Society. Um, and so then there are the ones that we don't really get what they are. They get I believe they were introduced because they had like a zodiac symbol. I cannot remember the name, but they're a section of it, and we don't know what they do, but they're introduced. I believe like the investigator at the end was one. Um,
Wasn't it like the gallows or something?
yeah, yeah, that's what it was. But they were like represented by this zodiac symbol, and so they each have their own jobs, and they're introduced. But it's not like the. And I mean, I guess he does. Slight spoiler for Bleach. I guess he does do that in Bleach with the Soul Society because each division of the Soul Society has their own job, and so I guess this is their version of that.
Okay. Um, I guess one little like last neat thing with the world building aspect is like they actually like referenced a few things is like to tell us like how modern this actually is, right? And like they like Noel had the Dragon Ball recap song and also like the Sailor Moon song as
Mhm,
like
mhm.
ringtones and stuff. Um like that was like pretty fun. It just lets you know like we're really in like modern society, you know, right now. Also I thought it was really fun that like the whole like phone booth thing, like that's like a Doctor Who thing, right? Um, because like it's a British TV show, and I really enjoyed that. I think Kubo's like I guess kind of like paying homage to like different like things, and like he's like, you know, oh, this inspired me maybe, you know. So
Yeah,
I don't know if I can agree quite as much with the Doctor Who reference, but I do know that over in London, like they do have a lot of telephone booths,
yeah.
so that is like a very accurate thing.
yeah.
Londony thing.
Didn't TARDIS didn't the TARDIS do the exact same thing almost?
No,
'Cause I never did
um,
watch Doctor Who. I just know that it's something about a phone booth and like it teleports you and like disappears into the ground or something. I don't know.
Isn't like like
so
a phone booth or it's like taking the shape of a phone booth or something like
Okay.
that?
yeah, basically this is going to be super nerdy and really off topic, but it's a teleportation device that can go through space and time, not through necessarily matter. And as a result, they have a camouflaging device built in. When the Doctor originally stole it and disappeared, his name is the Doctor, not Doctor Who. Obviously, the question is Doctor Who, because he just says, I'm the Doctor. But yeah, so from there, the device got broken while he was actually in London, coincidentally, and it's since been stuck as a blue telephone box. It does teleport, but it disappears through space and time. It does not teleport through the ground, and it's also blue, not red.
Yeah, small differences. Same thing though, I guess.
I do feel like the Doctor Who reference is a stretch, but it's not to say that he didn't possibly have some sort of inspiration from that.
I feel like it's fun to think about it though, right?
It definitely is. No, because it when I read it, I was like, I don't really see that, but I could see how somebody could. So it is interesting. And who knows, maybe again, I'm wrong and I'm an idiot. And Kubo did totally have influence from it.
Yeah, 'cause I've never
But
watched Doctor Who, but that was like I know what Doctor Who is, and I recognize the phone booth, and that was the first thing I thought of.
See, see.
okay, yeah, I don't know. Maybe it's just me. I've watched a lot of Doctor Who though, so like
I mean, it doesn't help that it's like British themed, right? You know, and we know Doctor Who was like British, so a
very,
British
very
TV show
British.
or whatever. So, um, but before like, do y'all have anything else that you want to touch on, like the world building aspect? Anything else at all?
Mm, no,
Alrighty.
I think we did a good job.
Okay. One thing I feel like it's important, so I want to talk about it briefly. I just I don't want to spend like a whole lot of time talking about it though. Is like the watch order. I felt like it was kind of messed up roughly. I'm not sure why they did it, but like so this is obviously based off of a one shot by Kubo that dropped in 2008, right? 2018, right? Then it received four more chapters in 2020. But they adapted those four chapters that they dropped in 2020 in an anime in late 2020. But then they waited till last year, 2023, to drop the adapt and drop the actual one shot, which is what happened before those episodes. So like I just found that odd or whatever because I feel like if you watch the point eight, the prequel episode, I feel like this was a much better watching experience if you watched it first. So you watch the point eight, then watch one, two, three, and I felt like that's the way to go. Like that made more sense to me. Like the whole point eight episode, it was like very rich in world building and stuff, and like the whole thing about like Boggo, right? Boggo and his dog and his friend. Like, you went into episode one blind about that. Like, you didn't know who this guy was. You didn't know like what his like affiliation was. You didn't know why the dog was saying, Noel Chan, let me see your panties. Like, you didn't know anything about that. But if you watched point eight, you would have known that. And I felt like that was like that was like a weird choice of direction or something. Um, so I just want to get y'all's thoughts on that.
Uh,
Chad.
yeah, I was like, it's unconfirmed. I read it. I believe it was like either a Reddit post or something like that about this, and like COVID really did like a number on like the development of, I guess, a continuation of the story as well as the anime. Um, and so it makes me think that COVID, like it did with the rest of the world, kind of messed things up. Um, I'm not sure if that played a part into it or if like if um if that was a part of like why we haven't gotten a continuation of either the manga or the anime, or if the budgets were just cut, they just didn't have the resources to just tell that point eight part of the story. And they just like, okay, we gotta, this has been ordered. We gotta try to put this out at this time. And I'm not sure, but I saw in there that COVID did play a part in some of the delays and everything.
Yeah, well, what I'm saying is like the point eight episode, right? They got released last year. It's actually the original one shot. That's what
Yeah.
it's adapted from. And so I'm just wondering, like, um, why didn't they release that first? You know, instead of like releasing the other three episodes, right? Why didn't they release the actual like prequel first? Because um, it would make more sense, right? Like it literally made more sense for me because I watched it first and then I went back and watched the first, second, and third episode after. And I feel like that made a lot more sense. And whereas Nam, on the other hand, he watched it in the chronological order one, two, three, and then he watched the point eight. And I felt like he seemed like kind of confused and stuff. And so
Yeah.
I went through and watched it a different way, and I just don't understand at all why they would make that choice when they knew that the prequel was important and should have been released first probably. So
No, I agree. Because I watched it same way. I watched the first 4 episodes, and then when that was released, I don't even think I knew it was released. I think I had recommended it to, like, my brother-in-law, and I went in and I saw that that was there, and I was like,
yeah.
"I don't really remember this," and it's like, "Oh, because it's new." And I agree. I don't know. I don't know if that was maybe a complaint that they got from people, or they just wanting to button up that part of the story, or if that's a part of a bigger plan. Because if the bigger plan is to continue the manga/anime, then what better way to do it than to release some new material, put it in the correct order, and hopefully next year or so continue. I don't know. It didn't make sense to me either.
Yeah, no, so just kind of like from my point of view, I didn't read the one shot at all, didn't even realize about it. Again, I went into this knowing that I was watching it because we were going to talk about it. And as such, first episode, it was very jarring, right? We get to meet Ninny, she flashes the paparazzi, she uses a coin, and I'm like, oh, cool. And then they never explain it. And I'm just like, "Oh, okay. We're taking it as it is, it's not that long, so whatever. I'm not gonna be expecting much out of it." And then all of a sudden, right, like, I got to the 4th episode, the prequel episode, and then that started playing, and it was like, Ninny's in, or Noelle's in, London, and all of a sudden she runs across Balgo, and Balgo is not in reverse London, and he's just talking, and, oh, so she's not talking. And so I was like, "Okay." At first, it seemed like, "Oh, maybe it's just a little bit in the future, and Balgo got to go back to normal London." And then it cut into all this other stuff, and I was like, "Oh." Oh, so that's why. This is okay. Oh, I see now. Oh, gotcha. I got it. So it was very confusing at first. I will give credit. They did a fantastic job, I feel, with just the first 3 episodes of being able to keep you into it without giving any of that information that should have been there. But I think ultimately it was just I think they wanted to tell a longer story.
Mhm.
The one shot was already established. Use that as a jumping point to come up with, something original, right? Which is what Kubo did, and they adapted that. It gave them something more to work on than what the one shot did. But I think the problem was is that they were relying too much on people having read that beforehand. And if people did complain, thank you, because I didn't want to be the one to complain. And I would have been. I would have
Yeah.
still read the one shot, but I still would have complained.
Yeah, so it was that was a pretty interesting directional choice if it was that. Um but I guess one last thing before we get into like the final thoughts and ratings. I just want to ask like did you so we got like a lot of Balgo and Osushi specifically. They always wanted to see Noel's panties, right? Did that bother y'all at all, or did they do it just right? In order to like have it humorous but not like annoying, you know? What y'all think?
So again, with the order that I watched it in, it wasn't even Balgo that first said it, okay?
It's Osushi, right?
It was Osushi. So imagine a flying fucking dog, and the first interaction you get with him is,
Noelle
"Noelle,
panties.
show me your panties." And I'm just like, "What? What the fuck is this?" Um, but after watching point 8, it's not too much. I think that they actually found a good balance once you understand and you see the change that ultimately Balgo had, right? Because that was the only thing that he did in the beginning.
Yeah.
Let me see them, let me see them, let me see them. And then he gets advice from the disguiser, his friend, um, which honestly that was really cool too, the disguiser dragons.
Yeah.
Um, but just seeing him be different towards the end of point 8, like it really does change, I feel, the dynamic going forward, that it shows what he was trying to do with Noelle and stuff like that, why he acts the way he does around her and stuff. Like he doesn't care why he's doing anything, like why she's doing anything with him. All he cares is that he's with her. And eventually at the end, like it's nice that she starts to finally warm up to him and stuff like that. And then Osushi had to ruin it.
Mhm. Yeah, in Bleach, Cone is sort of that character,
Yeah.
the little what
Teddy
is he?
bear.
Like a little teddy bear, the token for Ichigo to
Yeah.
swap out or whatever. But he plays a similar role in Bleach as that. I mean, I know it's not like a I mean, I guess he's a main character in Bleach, but I kinda looked at it like that. I feel like it wasn't too excessive, it wasn't too much or over the top, and like you said, it does kind of with that additional, it does kinda tie in. So I don't think it was too bad.
Yeah, I can't imagine like for Nam, right? Like the first words you're seeing a dragon, a flying dragon dog or whatever, like, and you're like, what the fuck, you know? And then the first word it says is Noel Chan, let me see your panties or whatever. I just can't imagine like seeing that in the first 5 minutes of an episode. So but so shout
It
out
was
Nam, you know.
oh my god, yeah, no, that was quite the if I wasn't so used to all the other stuff that happens in animes, like I probably would have turned it off right then and there, honestly. But knowing how a lot of animes go, that is exactly honestly like I was perfectly fine with it.
Yeah. Um and you know, even at the end, if you're looking for that like fan service shot or whatever, right? Even at the end, you got I'm surprised that they did it. I didn't think that they was, but they did show like a little slip up, you know, at the very end, and I was like, okay, so they let the fan service people have a little taste of what they wanted, you know. They've been after it all 4 episodes, so uh,
Yeah, but it also was something too that was nicely done because again, like kind of following up on our fan service discussion from when we were on the um
side quest
side
hustle.
quest hustle. Um it they didn't do a lot of that in this where it was, overly sexual, and I really appreciated that as well. It's keeping more focus again on the story, on the actual characters and stuff like that, their development, and you know to have one instance, I feel, in 4 episodes, like, bravo, amazingly done, perfectly timed as well. Like you didn't show it within the first 2 episodes, right? You basically waited until the end to show it, which I felt was very nicely done as well too. Like just that final little send off.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure this is like an adult cast too, or like I'm pretty sure because I think they're all like working age and stuff, right?
They
Yeah.
all have
Oh,
jobs, yeah.
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 I feel like
Um.
that helps too because I don't know, it always bothers me when they try to throw fan service in some of these animes, but, like, they make it very clear in, like, the first episode that these are teenagers.
Yeah. Yeah. But that's the good thing about this is that they, as far as we know, you know, they're adults, you know, because they do have their jobs and stuff, and they I think they're and so like in both worlds they have jobs and stuff. So, um, but yeah, I was just curious about y'all's opinions on that because there's so much like sexualness like favoring or whatever in anime nowadays. I thought they done it pretty well because it was pretty funny. Like Osushi was like pretty funny, in my opinion. The little we did get to see of him. Um, I guess if y'all don't have anything else, we'll just get into our final thoughts and our ratings and call it a night.
Yeah.
You want to go first, Nom, since you're the expert Bleach host here?
Oh yeah, yeah. All my extensive watch hours in Bleach, all like 3 hours of it. It's more than that. All right, calm down, chat. Um, no, I would say that honestly, it was really good. I thoroughly enjoyed it. The world building was paced perfectly well for the what they were getting into, right? They didn't spend too much time trying to over explain anything. They didn't spend too much time um getting into these big long convoluted things, right? They had a clear concise goal in mind and they executed on it, I feel, very very well. And it flowed very nicely, but it left you wanting more, and it left a lot of mysteries. And it's kind of bugging me because one thing, I'm okay with waiting on mysteries, right? Like at One Piece, watched it since 2000. I'm okay with mysteries. I'm okay waiting. I've been a very patient man, Oda. Hurry it the fuck up. Um That being said, not being able to find any information on some of these mysteries is irking me. And if you're the kind of person that really wants to dive into a universe and just engulf yourself in it, I would highly recommend Bleach instead. If you're not already, just because again, there's a lot more to it. It's more established. That being said, I'm gonna give this show an 8 myself. I would definitely recommend watching it. I've already recommended it to a few people, especially those that have watched Bleach. Um, I just really hope that we do get more though, because there's a lot of questions. There's a lot of intrigue to this world, and honestly, it's got such a good premise that they could easily push it out for a good 10, 12 years. I feel just tackling all the different dragons and stuff like that and answering some of these other questions like more about the dragon clads, right? Why are they being protected? What about them is bringing these dragons to them, right? And if so, like are they really the secret to finding the Marians? The Marians
Okay.
are the name of the group of dragons, by the way.
Yeah. Um. All right. That's a good number. 8. I think
Yeah.
the mal for this is like a 7, so 7.15 or something like that. Um. I guess I'll go next, and I'll let Shad go last.
Okay.
But I really enjoyed this. Like the world building was my favorite part of this. Like it just has a lot of unique ways of showing us all like the dragons and what they're used for and all that stuff. I really love when show can like go hard on like the world building, especially all the minor details, kind of like Kubo does. Also really loved that like Kubo didn't do anything different as far as like character designs. Like he stuck with what works. I'm a big fan of Kubo character designs, and I love to see Kubo back at it again because that man he can draw women like no other. Like he can do it. He's great at it. Uh, as far as my score, I think I'd give it around an 8 too, probably like an 8.5 or something like that. I really, really enjoyed it. Like I said, it's just so unique. It has a lot of potential. I really do think that we're going to get more of this in the future, and I think that it's going to be a really good hit, especially since we have female main characters now, which is pretty awesome. So it'll be Kubo's time to shine on that. Hopefully, he does a really good job because Kubo and Bleach, like he writes some good female characters. So I hope that he can do it over here as well. But yeah, that's basically it for me. Like I really enjoyed it. I would definitely recommend it to anybody that has watched Bleach. They're gonna love it. They're gonna love Kubo's shit. Anybody that hasn't watched Bleach, they're gonna love this too. Like it's still a fun time. The only problem is waiting for more. That's about it. So, Shad, you want to let us know what you got going on?
Man, whenever this was announced, I was excited because, like I said, I was a big Bleach anime fan, a big Bleach manga fan, and so when this came out, I was definitely all over it, and I was not disappointed. If I could say one thing, what I would like to see is this 3 episode story told over a season so that they can close some of those gaps that they were told. Because if I remember right, this was originally released as a movie, and then they
Yeah,
broke it up into 3 episodes. And so for a movie, it works, but as for a series, I could see this being broken up into, 10, 12 episodes so that they can kind of, go in and close the gap that and answer some of those questions that were not able to be answered in this short telling of this story. Because I agree, I feel like this is one where they could stretch it out, or at least, if I remember correctly, there were 7 of those fairy tale dragons, or maybe 9, but I believe it was 7.
I think
And
so.
it- yeah, you could easily stretch it out into 7 seasons where each season covers a dragon. Or, you can go into the mystery of Dragonclad. You can go into potential corruption. Like, there are so many avenues that you could take that could tell a great story. And if my experience with Kubo and what I've heard and read about the end of Bleach and with without getting into too many spoilers with how the end of Bleach went, I feel like Kubo would wanna tell this story in its entirety. I don't believe he would wanna leave it open-ended with unanswered questions like he did with Bleach. And so I fully believe that this will probably get picked up as like a full run and serialization with the manga as well as a future anime. And I could very well see this section of the story being the first season of that and being stretched out and told. And I'm with you guys. That's exactly where I had it, was at a solid 8, and that this was definitely a recommendation for anybody who was a fan of Bleach or Kubo or any of those sort of, big 3 era animes, that I would definitely give this a recommendation to watch.
Okay. Yeah, I guess we're all in the same boat kind of then. We all really enjoyed this show. So I guess if y'all don't have anything else, we'll just wrap it up.
Cool.
Yeah.
Alrighty. So we got a little bit of this coming up next week's Degen episode. We're gonna try to do like a little mid-season check-in with the summer season. It's gonna be me, Nom, and probably another guest. So be on the lookout for that. Also make sure you rate the podcast, tell your friends about us, all that good stuff. If you have any interesting topics or any shows that you'd like to for us to talk about, review, give a first look to, anything like that, let us know in Discord, and we'll see what we can do. Like always, we're also doing a One Piece. We're watching the newest One Piece episode every Sunday, at uh, 8 o'clock Eastern, I think it is, and then we're doing our first look watch party where we watch two or three episodes of a new show each week that is voted on by the Discord members. We're doing that right after One Piece every Sunday as well. Linktree.com/anime degens to join all of our stuff. And before we go, I just want to give this time for Shad to shout out his podcast again and his links and stuff. And just remember that his links will be in the description as well. So, Shad, it's your time to shine.
Cool, man. Thank y'all for having me on. This has been fun. I definitely come back if you guys will have me.
Hell yeah.
But again, I'm Shad. I am the host of the Side Quest Hustle, the podcast where we talk about anime, manga, comics, TV, movies, and more. You can find us at the Side Quest Hustle on all social media and all streaming platforms. Come check us out. We'll love to geek out with you about, your favorite anime, manga, TV, or movie.
Hell yeah. And he's even got a Discord too. And he's on threads and all that stuff. So make sure you join his Discord. Make sure you follow him on threads and stuff. Super, super cool dude. It's been a blast having him on with us this time. Hopefully, everyone has a great night. We'll see you on Tuesday for a weekly rundown. Peace.
Later.